He doesn't bark, he doesn't boast, he just moves, and when he does, the ground beneath you shifts. Not because he craves power, but because he understands it. This isn't the kind of power that screams or demands attention. It's the kind that operates in silence, waiting for the right moment to act. This is the Sigma male, the lone wolf of modern masculinity. In a world obsessed with dominance and submission, where alpha males roar and beta males yield, the Sigma does neither. He doesn't enter the room to control it. He becomes the silent force that redefines it. Psychology calls this type of man introverted dominant, a person who doesn't seek leadership yet often ends up leading. He doesn't climb the social ladder, he walks past it uninterested. Society fears what it can't control, and that's what makes the Sigma so unsettling. He can't be caged, he can't be labeled, and most importantly, he can't be manipulated. While others shout to be noticed, he observes. While they chase validation, he builds mastery in silence. Most people are noise, he is signal, and in that stillness, he becomes magnetic. Studies in behavioral science show that those who operate calmly under pressure often command more respect than those who dominate aggressively. The Sigma doesn't ask for your attention, yet somehow he has it. His presence is not loud, but it's felt. He doesn't chase crowds. Crowds find him, and they don't even know why. He's not dangerous because he's violent. He's dangerous because he's unshakable. In a digital age, hooked on dopamine hits and social approval, the Sigma thrives in solitude. That's real strength. You won't see him coming because he never announces himself. And when he acts, it's with surgical precision. This isn't about being cold, it's about being in control. The Sigma male isn't here to play by the rules. He's here to rewrite them, quietly, intentionally, and without ever raising his voice. Welcome to Brain Boosters. Let's step into the shadows. Point 1, emotional sovereignty. A Sigma male doesn't react, he registers. In a world addicted to overreaction, instant gratification, and emotional chaos, the Sigma stands apart like a calm eye in the middle of a storm. His emotional discipline is not about cold detachment, but conscious awareness. While others are consumed by anger, panic, or excitement, the Sigma feels those same emotions, but he doesn't become them. He observes them. He studies them like a scientist watching a chemical reaction, not with judgment, but with curiosity. He knows that emotions are not commands, they are signals, and instead of reacting impulsively, he allows those emotions to rise, crest, and fall like waves. This ability to pause, process, and recalibrate gives him a powerful psychological edge. Studies in emotional intelligence have shown that self-awareness and regulation are two of the most important traits in high-performing individuals, especially leaders. But the Sigma isn't looking to lead in the traditional sense. He leads by example through stillness and strategy. Where others lash out, beg for attention, or spiral into breakdowns, the Sigma recalibrates silently, adapts, and redirects his energy. This isn't repression, it's mastery. And that mastery makes him unpredictable, calm under pressure, and resistant to manipulation. You can't guilt trip him, you can't flatter him into compliance, and you certainly can't shame him into submission. He doesn't depend on praise to feel worthy, and he isn't driven by fear to conform. That kind of independence is dangerous in a society built on social conditioning. A man who doesn't need applause won't dance to your tune. A man who doesn't fear rejection won't follow the herd. The Sigma understands that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. And while the world tries to provoke him, poke at him, and figure him out, he just watches, still, silent, calculating, because behind every calm expression is a mind that never stops thinking, and behind every non-reaction is a man who has already seen the outcome 10 steps ahead. Point 2, strategic isolation. He chooses solitude, not as an escape, but as a weapon. While most people fear being alone, the Sigma male embraces it with intention. He understands that solitude isn't loneliness, it's space for evolution. In this quiet arena where distractions are stripped away, he sharpens his mind, hones his craft, and trains his instincts. This isn't retreat, it's preparation. Historically, some of the world's greatest thinkers, from Nikola Tesla to Leonardo da Vinci, operated in solitude to unlock their genius. The Sigma male follows this ancient wisdom. He spends his time reading, experimenting, mastering disciplines others overlook. While the world chases noise and applause, he remains rooted in silence and purpose. He's not checking likes or retweets, he's checking progress. and what he's building in private will shake the world in public. This man isn't afraid of being alone because he's already faced and conquered the most difficult adversary, himself. Self-awareness is his foundation. He's wrestled with his demons, dissected his weaknesses, and learned to lead himself when no one was watching. There's no external validation that can shake a man who has internal validation. Psychologically, solitude can enhance creativity, emotional regulation, and problem-solving ability. Traits the Sigma cultivates intentionally. There's no need for echo chambers when your own thoughts are loud enough to challenge you. In solitude, he doesn't rehearse who the world wants him to be. He refines who he is. The clarity he gains isn't fragile. It's forged through hours of reflection and practice. And when a man walks through life with that kind of clarity, he becomes unstoppable. He doesn't jump on trends because he isn't looking for temporary relevance. He sets trajectories, planting seeds in silence that bloom in places others never thought to look. While society rushes toward attention, he gravitates toward mastery. The Sigma doesn't shout to be seen. He moves in silence, and people can't help but feel the tremors of his presence. He's not disconnected. He's deeply in tune. He's not apathetic. He's focused. He's not above others. He's just beyond the need to impress them. This is the power of solitude when it's used not to escape the world, but to prepare to lead it. Point 3, tactical ghosting. When a Sigma male withdraws, it isn't loud, messy, or dramatic. It's more like a sudden power outage. The lights are on one moment, and the next, complete silence. But that silence isn't passive or confused. It's deliberate. It's what psychologists might call strategic disengagement. The Sigma doesn't leave because he's angry or emotionally overwhelmed. He steps back because his internal compass tells him it's time to preserve his energy, reset his boundaries, and re-establish his autonomy. And when he disconnects, people feel it deeply. That's because Sigma males often hold invisible weight in social dynamics. They may not be the loudest voice in the room, but their presence creates balance. Remove them, and the atmosphere shifts. People start to notice the absence of quiet strength, deep awareness, and authentic energy. This withdrawal isn't about playing games or manipulating others through silence. It's a kind of emotional minimalism. Unlike others who might express discontent through arguments, passive-aggressive remarks, or emotional outbursts, the Sigma male opts for detachment, not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to engage in cycles of unnecessary chaos. He's wired differently. Studies in psychology have shown that individuals with introverted yet assertive personalities, often classified under the INTJ or ISTP Myers-Briggs types, tend to regulate stress by detaching and analyzing rather than reacting emotionally. That's exactly what the Sigma does. He's not ghosting to be cruel, he's ghosting to be clear. It's a message written in silence. I value my peace over pointless conflict. And no, you can't tug on a Sigma's heartstrings to bring him back, because he's already done the hard inner work of cutting emotional dependency. He doesn't need validation to breathe, nor attention to feel alive. So when he pulls away, it's not to seek revenge or sympathy, it's to recalibrate. He's like a computer closing all background apps to function at maximum efficiency. The world might label it ghosting, but for the Sigma, it's clarity. Clarity about who deserves access to him and who no longer fits the frequency he's operating on. That's not coldness, it's self-respect. Point 4, boundary without explanation. The Sigma male doesn't beg for understanding, and that alone sets him apart in a world obsessed with validation. He doesn't over-explain his choices or defend his path because he knows that truth doesn't need permission to exist. Instead, he operates on a foundation of logic, personal principles, and a finely tuned internal compass. Every action he takes is deliberate, not driven by public opinion, external pressure, or the need to be liked, but by a deep alignment with what he believes is right. This unnerves people. Society has conditioned most individuals to constantly explain themselves, to seek approval, to apologize for being different. We live in a culture where oversharing is seen as connection and validation is mistaken for truth. In contrast, the Sigma male's silence is powerful, almost confrontational. It forces others to sit with their own discomfort, to question their own need for affirmation. He's not interested in being understood. He's interested in being authentic. This is not arrogance, it's clarity. Psychologically, studies show that individuals with high self-differentiation, Those who can maintain their beliefs and values even under pressure experience less anxiety and greater emotional resilience. That's the Sigma. He doesn't fear rejection because his sense of self isn't built on the approval of others. But he does fear one thing: compromise. The Sigma knows that every time you compromise on your core values to please others, a part of your identity erodes. And when you fear compromise more than you fear loss, whether it's relationships, opportunities, or public favor, you become untouchable. You're no longer a slave to outcomes. You're no longer swayed by fear or bribed by comfort. You move through life with a kind of quiet power that doesn't shout but shakes the ground. That's why the Sigma male is so difficult to manipulate. You can't guilt-trip a man who doesn't chase approval. You can't seduce a man who values freedom over flattery. And you definitely can't control someone who would rather walk alone in truth than march with the masses in lies. In a world where everyone is desperate to be seen, the Sigma male's refusal to beg for understanding becomes his greatest strength and his most mysterious weapon. Point 5. Obsession with skill. The Sigma male doesn't compete with others. He competes with who he was yesterday. While the world is busy shouting, showing off, and scrambling for validation, the Sigma retreats into his world of quiet self-improvement. He's not driven by applause or comparison. His mission is personal. His battle is internal. You won't find him in locker room debates or trying to outshine someone at a party. Instead, you'll catch glimpses of him in libraries, gyms, dark-lit rooms where screens glow with lines of code, or nature trails where he trains in solitude. Every hour he spends in silence, reading a dense philosophical treatise, learning a new skill, refining a business model, is another brick in the fortress of mastery he's building. Mastery, after all, is his native language, not ego, not popularity, but precision, discipline, and evolution. Unlike the alpha, who dominates through charisma and loud presence, or the beta, who seeks guidance and approval, the Sigma male charts his own course. He's not antisocial, he's selectively social. He doesn't broadcast his power with words, you simply it. You see it in how he moves with purpose, how he listens more than he speaks, and how his eyes scan a room and catch things most miss. It's in the things he builds: businesses, bodies, ideas, legacies. Studies on high performers and lone innovators like Nikola Tesla or Steve Wozniak show that some of the most influential figures thrived in solitude, driven not by the need to beat others, but to challenge themselves. This is the Sigma male mindset in action. In a world obsessed with trends, the Sigma becomes timeless. While others flex for attention, he sharpens his mind. While they seek clout, he seeks clarity. His detachment from the competition isn't laziness or fear, it's strategy. Because the only race he runs is against his former self, and every day he intends to win. Not to prove it to you, not to brag, but because that's what purpose demands. And for the Sigma, purpose is everything. Point 6, detachment from outcome. A Sigma male plays the long game, and that's exactly what makes him a force to be reckoned with. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, likes, and fast results, the Sigma operates on a different wavelength. He's not seduced by the dopamine rush of being first, loudest, or most visible. He's strategic, patient, and dangerously precise. While others scramble to be seen, the Sigma quietly works to be remembered. He's not addicted to quick wins because he knows that rapid success often fades just as fast. Research in psychology even backs this mindset. Studies show that delayed gratification is a key predictor of long-term success, emotional stability, and life satisfaction. The Sigma male naturally embodies this principle, not because he read it in a book, but because it's coded into his instincts. He doesn't need to chase applause, approval, or revenge. His ego isn't fragile enough to need validation. While most people seek victory in the moment, the Sigma seeks position in the future. That's why he doesn't just compete. He observes, calculates, and plants seeds in silence. He understands that building something meaningful takes time, and he's more than willing to wait. But don't mistake his patience for passivity. The Sigma is always moving, just not in ways that are obvious. His every decision is a brick in a foundation that others won't notice until it's towering over them. And because he isn't emotionally reactive, he can navigate betrayal, setbacks, or rejection with unnerving calm. He doesn't act to dominate today, he acts to own tomorrow. This long-term vision is what makes him dangerous in a world that celebrates short-term gains. By the time others realize what he's building, it's already too late to catch up. He's not loud about it. He doesn't broadcast his strategy, but rest assured he has one. It's a silent, calculated mission toward a legacy that outlives noise, trends, and temporary recognition. That's the Sigma's edge. While others burn out chasing approval or temporary wins, the Sigma remains focused, unbothered, and lethal in his patience. He doesn't play for applause, he plays for permanence. Point 7, invisibility is his power. While the world celebrates loud ambition, selfies, status updates, and constant noise, the Sigma male slips into the shadows, not out of weakness, but from wisdom. He doesn't need to broadcast his every move or chase validation from the crowd. Instead, he chooses depth over display, mastery over mediocrity. This is what makes him dangerous. Not in a destructive sense, but in a transformative one. You see, in a society obsessed with visibility, the one who operates in silence becomes a mystery. The Sigma is often underestimated because he doesn't play by the rules of social dominance. He's not vying for alpha approval or seeking beta camaraderie. He walks his own path, charted by personal principles and strategic solitude. While others are caught in cycles of competition and conformity, the Sigma studies, plans, evolves. And by the time people realize what he's doing, he's already 5 steps ahead. Psychologically, this aligns with the concept of strategic introversion. Research shows that introverted individuals often engage in deeper levels of thinking and problem solving because their energy isn't dispersed on social validation. The Sigma takes this to another level, combining stoic independence with sharp emotional intelligence. His unpredictability isn't a flaw, it's a tactic, because people can't read him, they can't manipulate or prepare for his next move. He knows how to remain calm in chaos, how to act when others react, and how to walk away when most people cling. That unreadability becomes his greatest weapon in a world desperate for patterns and predictability. But don't mistake his silence for inaction. While others announce their goals, the Sigma quietly achieves his. While others talk about what they'll do, he's already done it. His power lies in the element of surprise, not because he wants to shock, but because his process is internal, layered, and methodical. In a sense, the Sigma is like the deep ocean, still on the surface, but teeming with force below. And by the time you realize how deep he runs, you're already out of breath trying to catch up. He doesn't rise by climbing over others. He rises because he's building something no one else can see until it's complete. The Sigma disappears into depth, not to escape the world, but to master it from angles no one else dares to explore. Point 8, he doesn't want control. He is control. That's the paradox. The Sigma male doesn't seek to dominate others, not through noise, not through manipulation, not through force. He doesn't chase validation or control people's perceptions. In fact, he's too preoccupied with mastering the only territory that truly matters, himself. While the world around him clamors for attention, approval, and influence, he walks a different path, quiet, calculated, and introspective. This self-mastery is his power. And ironically, it's this power that draws people to him like moths to a flame. His silence speaks louder than most people's speeches. His restraint makes others curious. His independence makes others feel exposed. The Sigma is the storm that doesn't roar, not because it is weak, but because it knows its strength. He's like a lion that doesn't chase because it knows it can, and that confidence unsettles others. His presence doesn't need an introduction, it's felt, not announced. There's psychological evidence to back this phenomenon. Studies in social psychology reveal that people are naturally drawn to those who are emotionally self-regulated and non-reactive. The Sigma's emotional independence creates a calm, magnetic field, one that people feel safer around, yet slightly intimidated by. He has the edge of someone who could shake the ground beneath your feet, but chooses not to. That control of his emotions, his reactions, his impulses, is what people often mistake for mystery or danger. They sense the depth of his thought, the sharpness of his awareness, and the unpredictability of his next move. This unpredictability triggers a psychological response known as uncertainty arousal, where people feel both intrigued and unsettled. They don't know what he'll do next, and that makes them hyper-aware of him. While alphas may lead with volume and betas may follow with dependence, the Sigma leads with presence and follows no one. His energy lingers in a room long after he's left, not because he demanded attention, but because he owned himself completely. That's the paradox. He seeks no followers, yet people follow him. He desires no control, yet he influences effortlessly. And he says nothing, yet the silence around him becomes the loudest thing people hear. A Sigma male is dangerous, not out of malice or aggression, but because his independence defies the rules society depends on. He doesn't chase approval, validation, or power, yet somehow commands all three effortlessly. While others seek permission to rise, he builds quietly in the shadows, mastering his craft and mind. The danger lies in his self-sufficiency. He doesn't need the system, which makes him immune to its control. This unpredictability unsettles the status quo. In a world that thrives on noise and conformity, the Sigma male remains a silent storm, unseen, unfazed, and unforgettable. He doesn't just survive, he rewrites the rules.